The world ended not with a bang, but with 1,000 bangs all at once. Explosions tore through the city before anyone had time to react. Concrete shattered, glass rained down like deadly snow, and streets twisted under the force of falling buildings. Soldiers shouted orders, but no one heard them over the screams, the roaring engines, the deafening thunder of artillery. Emil sprinted through smoke and fire, his little sister clinging to his hand, her face streaked with soot and tears. Somewhere behind them, the ground cracked and swallowed a car hole. People around them vanished in fireballs. The air smelled of burning steel and flesh. Emil barely noticed. He only moved, only ran. Meanwhile, Alina ducked under the ruins of a half-collapsed building, dragging a man whose leg had been torn apart by a missile. He moaned, but she ignored him. She had seen hundreds like him die before. Around her, children screamed for mothers who weren't there. Mothers screamed for children who weren't there. Soldiers screamed for orders, and commanders screamed at soldiers. No one listened. The world was screaming. Tanks barreled down streets, crushing cars, walls, and anything unlucky enough to be standing. Drones hovered above, scanning, firing, vanishing, while fighter jets streaked across the sky like vultures. Smoke choked the sun, turning the day blood red. Hassan crouched under the remnants of a collapsed fountain, holding 4 children tight, whispering poems to keep them calm. He didn't know if the poems worked, but the rhythm of the words was all he had to remind them, and himself, that life still mattered. The first month was a blur. Weeks of running, hiding, helping, and surviving merged into one endless nightmare. Food ran out, water ran out, medical supplies vanished. Hospitals collapsed under their own weight, or were bombed before they could save anyone. Emil carried his sister through ruins that smelled of smoke and death, the ground shaking beneath every step. He found a stray dog hiding in a burned-out cafe, and for a moment, it felt like a friend. They shared what little food they could, scavenge a stale piece of bread, a bottle of rainwater. Soldiers became ghosts, wandering rubble-strewn streets, clutching rifles, haunted by the faces of friends who were gone. Bombs fell indiscriminately. Neighborhoods that had been full of life became graveyards. Parks became trenches. Schools became morgues. Children learned to hide in basements, to move silently, to pretend they didn't hear their parents scream. By the 3rd month, entire coastlines were empty. Cities no longer had names, only coordinates. Governments fractured, alliances dissolved, propaganda became meaningless. Yet amidst the ruin, tiny acts of rebellion against despair survived. Alina left water in hidden corners for anyone who could reach it. Her son read to the children every night, even when the ceiling above them groaned and cracked. Emil and the stray dog found an abandoned bakery and kept vigil there, burning scraps of wood to cook what they could find, sharing warmth with a neighbor too scared to speak. Winter arrived, cold and merciless. The bombs didn't stop. Snow mixed with ash, turning the streets gray. Emil's sister fell sick. Her fever was high, her breath shallow. Desperate, Emil searched for help, and that's how he found Alina. She had been looting a ruined pharmacy and had a small stash of antibiotics. Without a word, she gave them to him, saving the little girl's life. That night, the boy and the dog slept huddled together on broken chairs, listening to distant artillery, dreaming of the sun. In other parts of the world, similar stories unfolded. Strangers sharing a single bottle of water, a musician playing a violin on a rooftop above the chaos, soldiers giving their last rations to civilians, even when every fiber of their being screamed not to. These small moments were the threads holding humanity together. By the 9th month, the war was no longer just about battles, it was about machines. Drones, automated artillery, missiles guided by artificial intelligence. Entire regions vanished from maps overnight. Communication was sporadic. The few journalists left wrote fragments of truth, fragments that no one could read because electricity had failed everywhere. Humanity became scattered. Desperate, Emil's group grew. They found another boy, injured and alone, and then a mother with a baby who had cried for days without food. Together they moved through streets lined with corpses, through neighborhoods where stray cats and dogs wandered over the fallen. Every act of kindness, a shared bottle of water, a bandaged wound, a whispered "you'll survive," was a rebellion against the war, a small flicker in the void. They were a makeshift family, bound not by blood, but by the shared will to see another sunrise. Years passed like this. The sky remained thick with smoke, the ocean carried wreckage from continent to continent, yet humans endured. Somewhere, a teacher rebuilt a chalkboard in a collapsed school. A nurse opened a makeshift clinic in a church ruin. Soldiers began walking away from the conflict when they realized the war was killing their own souls more than their enemies. and children, incredibly, planted gardens among the ruins, sometimes even laughing, because laughter itself was an act of defiance. Emil returned to the spot where his childhood home once stood. He planted a tree where a missile had left a crater. The dog, old now, lay beside him, loyal as ever. Alina had become a leader, organizing scavenger parties and setting up a small, stable community in the shell of an old library. Hassan was their storyteller, the keeper of memories, ensuring the children knew what came before the fire. Eventually, the war stopped. Not with a treaty, not with a victory, but with exhaustion. The machines ran out of targets. The nations were empty shells. The cities were graves. People emerged from shelters like survivors of a global storm, blinking at a sun they didn't trust. Bridges were rebuilt not just with steel, but with trust. Schools reopened, clinics reopened. Humanity stitched itself back together, scar by scar, memory by memory. Emil, Alina, Hassan, the children, the stray dog, all of them had survived. The sky slowly cleared, though the memory of fire lingered in every smell, every scar, every heartbeat. And under that new sky, for the first time in years, someone dared to smile. Someone dared to hope. Someone whispered, "We are still here," and that was enough. It had to be. This story is just a glimpse into a much larger world of survival, chaos, and the incredible resilience of the human spirit. If you want to see this world expand, to follow Emil, Alina, Hassan, and dozens of other characters across continents in a serialized epic, let us know. We could explore the non-stop chaos of this new world, with all its human emotion woven through. Thanks for watching.